Welcome, comic book enthusiasts, to the podcast of the Multiverse, the show where we dive deep into the colorful pages of the comic book world and explore the vast realms of heroes, villains, and everything in between. I'm your host, Veggie Uzumaki, and I'm thrilled to embark on this epic journey through the multiverse with you. Each week, we'll traverse the sprawling landscapes of Marvel, DC, Image, and beyond, unearthing the captivating tales, iconic characters, and groundbreaking moments that have defined the comic book industry. From the classic stories that have stood the test of time, to the latest releases shaping the future of comics, we'll be your trusted guides, providing insightful discussions, expert analysis, and a dash of geeky enthusiasm. But Podcast of the Multiverse isn't just about us. It's about the incredible community of fans like you. We want to hear your thoughts, theories, and favorite comic book moments. So join us on social media, participate in our polls, and get ready to be a part of our conversation. And whether you're a long-time collector, a casual reader, or a newcomer to the extraordinary world of comics, this podcast is for you. So grab your favorite issue, settle in, and let's journey together into the multiverse. Get ready for Podcast of the Multiverses, the ultimate destination for all things comic book, and stay tuned for this thrilling episode. What if Miles Morales was the Incredible Hulk? Before we get started with the story, let's set the mood a little bit and dim these lights. All right. So today I don't have my iPad ready to go. So I'm going to be using this What If Miles Morales comic book as reference material. I have read the story myself, and I do recommend you read it after this if you enjoy the story. All right, here we go. So our story starts out with the Prowler. Of course, he's doing some sketchy bullshit, and he's in a warehouse waiting for someone to, pick up what he has to drop off. But once they come, he takes one of their guys hostage and tells them that he wants out. He doesn't want to do this anymore. He has people he cares about. He has a nephew. This is Uncle Aaron, of course. And if you guys, again, know Uncle Aaron is a piece of shit. He's a piece of shit in every fucking universe. So upon kidnapping, right, one of their men, they pretty much tell Uncle Aaron, the Prowler, that they want him to kidnap Dr. Banner because he's made a fucking incredible discovery with radiation, atomic radiation, and things like that. And, they want Dr. Banner, I guess, for themselves. So the Prowler tells them, hey, no, I'm not doing it. I'm out. And then after he tells them he's out, he doesn't want to do this anymore, they bring up a picture of his family. They show the Prowler a picture of Miles, his brother, and his sister-in-law. It says, if you don't do this for us, we're going to kill them. The next panel, we pan over to Miles waking up out of bed with green eyes. And it says pretty much what we know about the Incredible Hulk. You won't like him when he's angry. Now we're in present day. Present day, we are in therapy, or Miles is in therapy. So the therapist asks him, Miles, what exactly makes you think you'll get angry? And Miles says, it's just something about knowing of my uncle and the secret life he was living as the Prowler that triggers me. If he wasn't a criminal, none of this would have ever happened. I wouldn't be here discussing my feelings with legendary Doc Samson, celebrity shrink for the Avengers. And the doctor then humbles himself by saying, I'm far from legendary, I'm just well paid. Miles responds by saying, hey, this is confidential, right? And The doctor then, I thought this part was very interesting. I'm going to skip a couple little things. Again, like I said, if you want to read it later for yourself, you can do that as well. But I'm just going to hit a lot of the heavy points for the podcast. The doctor says, you've acknowledged in previous sessions the impact your Uncle Aaron had on you, but you never mentioned that the thought of him angers you. And Miles then says, I just don't understand how someone can love their family but do everything to put them in danger. I'm sorry, Doc, this is really bugging me. And then asks the doctor why his hair is green. And then the doctor says he lost the bet with Tony Stark. That's some shit Tony would do. Which is, it's cool, a little fun, I guess, with Tony Stark. And it's nice to know he has a Tony Stark in his universe. I'm pretty sure that's helpful. Miles then goes around and circles back to the day everything went wrong. And he says, it was the day after my parents and I got the news that I won the lottery to attend Brooklyn Visions Academy. I wanted to share it with them. I never got around to it though, because he was busy arguing with someone on the phone. Little did I know the guy he was talking to was the same one responsible for what would happen moments later. He's talking about his Uncle Aaron. While I was waiting for him to get off the phone, I saw a spider crawling on a crazy briefcase in his apartment. I've never mentioned this, but I absolutely hate spiders. So this Miles hates spiders. And it looks like whatever Uncle Aaron, whatever bullshit that he was up to, he ended up bringing his work home. And Miles ended up going to smack the spider off of the briefcase, and then the briefcase falls and opens, and these radioactive pellets, there are these radioactive pellets inside of the briefcase, and the briefcase falls to the ground, it opens up, and Miles accidentally steps on one of the radioactive pellets. When that happens, there's an explosion causing his transformation in the apartment. He said he doesn't remember anything that happened after I was blinded by the green light. All I do know is when I woke up, my dad and Uncle Aaron were arguing. My dad was upset that something had happened to me, and his brother refused to tell him what. That was the last time my uncle and father ever spoke again. I guess that has to be kind of a tough situation, right? If your brother is the one like fucking with your kid, like fucking with your child's livelihood, I guess you would have to cut him off, like eventually, do what's best for your family. Poor Miles, I guess that really sucks. And Miles says he partially blames himself for that. I couldn't sleep that night, just knowing my dad and uncle were mad at each other over something I did. I remember waking up with my body aching. It was a chore to even walk to the bathroom. I thought maybe I was coming down with a fever. Boy, was I wrong. So you discovered the effects of gamma radiation, Miles. And the doctor asked, did Miles tell his parents? And Miles says, are you kidding me? Which I wouldn't either, probably. I don't know maybe some of you guys would. I don't know. I would freak out. I'd be so worried to tell my mom that I just turned into some green monster because of gamma radiation. I could be dying. It could be anything. I don't know what the fuck could be happening. My leg could fall off, my arm could fall off, my penis could fall off. Who fucking knows, man? So Miles then tells his therapist, he then says, you really think I would tell my parents something like that? My mom would have probably freaked out and shipped me off to Xavier School for Gifted Youngsters. Have you seen the type of stuff those kids go through? They fight against giant killer robots during recess. I'm not built for that. Which you can't blame Miles. I feel him on that shit. Why is everybody on Batman's dick, right? About having kids fight monsters and shit. I know the X-Men have powers, whatever. They're still fucking kids. And Professor Xavier has literally an army of them. And I have heard nobody talking about that at all. But I feel Miles on that. I would not want to go there either. Therapist says, so fear of your parents' rejection or reaction compelled you to keep your condition hidden. And Miles says as much as he possibly could, which was very challenging because Yeah, very, very challenging. But his friend Ganke knew, and we all know Ganke. Ganke was in the Across the Spider-Verse film. He was playing PS4 Spider-Man in the Across the Spider-Verse movie. I thought that was really cool. Oh, sorry, I should have said spoilers, but whatever, spoilers. So he was able to tell Ganke, and at first Ganke didn't believe him until Miles accidentally stepped on a Lego piece, got mad at Ganke, and turned green. Which Ganke did not reject Miles, he just thought it was really cool. And Miles needed Ganke. He was kind of like a support system because Miles, he would go to school, and let me tell you what happened to this man. No Riz. Check this out. So he's at school, right? And he says, "Hey, Betty, I was wondering if you wanted to study for the chemistry test later today." And then she looks at him and she says, she was so fucking mean. She says, "Ew, gross. Get away from me, dork." Like, why do you have to respond like that? Why can't you just say no? Why do you gotta treat the man like that? And then Miles got really mad, turned green, and Ganke came and threw a hood over his head and got him out of there. Then, they continue talking, and then the therapist says to Miles, "I understand your caution. However, I fail to see exactly why you're nervous about transforming. Outside of slightly enhanced muscular and green skin, there seems to be no instance of you causing yourself harm or harm to others." And Miles says, "No, that's not necessarily the case." Now we pan over, and Miles is talking about the real hardcore traumatic event. Now we're getting to it. His canon. This is his canon. If you watch Spider-Man Across the Spider-Verse, then you know this is his canon. He says, "I remember overhearing my uncle discussing meeting up with the person he was on the phone with at an old warehouse in Red Hook 2 days after my accident at 9 o'clock. I told my parents I was spending the night over at Ganke's house. Thinking back, I wish I had. I don't know why, but my intuition told me that whoever my uncle was meeting had something to do with whatever happened inside that case. So I decided to see with my own eyes what my uncle was up to. What came next hit me like a ton of bricks. Something that broke my heart before it eventually shattered. Seeing one of New York's most notorious criminals handing that briefcase to that guy, and then realizing that underneath that mask was my uncle. One of the worst criminals around, apparently, that he knows about, was his uncle. The man says to Prowler, hopefully they can do business again soon. After Prowler hands over the briefcase, and the Prowler goes ahead and tries to shoot him for threatening him and threatening his nephew, mostly for threatening his nephew. But instead, when he shot him, the briefcase fell, and the pellets, those radioactive pellets, fell to the ground and exploded, creating who we all know to be Abomination. And when he turned into Abomination, he grabbed Prowler. Miles was watching the entire time. He grabbed Prowler by the head, picked him up, and crushed his head in front of Miles, killing Miles's Uncle Aaron. Miles, angry, crying, his emotions all over the place, transforms into the Hulk and says, "Uncle, my uncle, you killed him. You killed my uncle." Now, this is Miles talking to the therapist. He says, "All of my rage came pouring out and it just took over. I don't know if you know what that feels like, to have that much pain in your heart just spill out all at once, to lose control. It's the scariest thing ever." Miles then goes and attacks Abomination to watch my uncle murdered by that monster, watching myself turn into one. And as he struck Abomination, Abomination stayed on the ground, and then Hulk Miles walked over to him and repeatedly beat him until Abomination was dead. Miles says, "It's been years, Doc, and I still can't understand why he chose the life he did. I wouldn't have to live with this anger held up inside of me, to know that this pain inside of me made me capable of what I did. And after Abomination was dead, he turned into regular Miles. How do I learn to live with that? The anger, the disappointment." The therapist says you learn to embrace it. The anger you felt, it wasn't malevolent. It was compassion, the love you have for your family, the love you have for your uncle. Everything we've spoken about has been about the moments that you cherish with your mother, your father, Uncle Aaron, Gonke, and the people who make you who you are. The way you control the monster inside is to envision it as not a symptom of anger, but a manifestation of affection. And once you're able to accept those feelings, you can use that newfound strength inside of you to protect the ones you love. Miles turns into the Hulk, just like your uncle did, and they both hug each other. I would say this was a very, very, very sad one. But again, every single fucking thing that happened that was a very negative thing was whose fault, everybody? And on three, I want everybody to say it with me, right? 1, 2, 3. It was Uncle Aaron's fucking fault because in every universe, MCU, Into the Spider-Verse, Across the Spider-Verse, Miles Morales, What If 1, 2, and 3, Uncle Aaron is a piece of shit, and Uncle Aaron will always be a piece of shit. I thank you guys so much for joining me. My name is Veggie Uzumaki. This is the podcast of the multiverse. Thank you for joining us on this cosmic journey through the multiverse. We hope you've enjoyed exploring parallel dimensions, alternate realities, and the wonders of the unknown. If you want to stay connected with the podcast, be sure to subscribe on your favorite podcast platform so you never miss an episode. We'd love to hear from you and continue the conversation across the multiverse. Feel free to reach out to us on social media or email us at veggieuzumaki@gmail.com. Your feedback, suggestions, and even your own multiverse theories are always welcome. Remember, the possibilities are infinite and the vast expanse of the multiverse. So until our next adventure, keep exploring, keep imagining, keep embracing the marvels of the unknown. Stay curious, fellow travelers of the multiverse. And always may your paths lead you to extraordinary destinations.